Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, please give me a 5-star review. I love reading your guys' reviews and I appreciate them so much. Hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I'm so excited to be taping this comedy album, the first stand-up special I've ever done. It's going to be on Thursday, January 6th. From Governors in Levittown, Long Island. To get tickets for that, go to my website, ChrissieMayr.com. You can also go to the Governors Comedy Club website. I would love to see you there. I got a bunch of dates coming up. I think I'm going to be in Danbury, Connecticut in January as well. And then I'm heading to Georgia and Florida in March of 2022. And I'm adding dates all the time. If you live in an area and you love a particular club and you know they won't check papers, tweet at them, tweet at me, tag us all that stuff helps. And I love getting ideas for new places to perform. Check out my t-shirts on tpublic.com. I got a bunch of fun designs. Woo! Like this Mayor shirt here. Oh my God. Guys, remember the Obama era? Well, you can relive it with my shirt. Go to tpublic.com. Also, I've partnered up with Silk City Hot Sauce. I have my own hot sauce flavor. It's called Nightmare. Go to levinskystopshelf.com. Use promo code CMP. This bottle is $10, but I think you can get a couple bucks off if you use promo code CMP. It's delicious. And look, it's me eating somebody's insides. No, it's delicious. And I think it's like a verde sauce or something. It's very good. You guys are going to love it. You know who you're also going to love? Is this guest because she's hilarious and I was instantly a fan when I saw her talking shit about Kamala Harris. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I can't wait to talk to her. She's an author. She's a contributor for Fearless with Jason Whitlock on The Blaze. She's been on Fox. She's been on Sky News Australia. She's involved with the WalkAway movement. She's done so many amazing things. I'm so honored to have her here today. Shemeka Michelle, how are you? Welcome.
I am good. Thank you for having me.
How was your Christmas?
It sucked.
Oh no.
We had to cancel it
Oh
because we
no.
had 3 positive virus cases.
Oh no. Were they supposed to
Yes.
come to you or were you supposed to go to them?
Well, we normally celebrate at my grandmother's house, and because she's 87, so we just decided we would postpone it. So we're actually going to celebrate New Year's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating. I was reading there were so many flights that were canceled, like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So I didn't know if you got caught up, like stuck in an airport somewhere, but I was reading about that and that looked really horrible. But
No, I kind of fell under the White House curse, I guess, that we would all get sick, except I'm still living.
Oh yes, a winter full of death and hospitalization.
Right.
Yeah, I I felt bad because I got COVID in September, gave it to my boyfriend, gave it to both his parents, but I feel like natural immunity is the gift that keeps on giving. So I reminded everyone that was an early Christmas present.
I agree.
All those sweet antibodies or immunities, whatever. Um, Shamika, tell us a little bit about yourself. I love so much that you are not somebody that can be put into a box. You have a really cool kind of like life story. You were an ordained minister. You were a stripper. You're a mom. You're divorced. Like you're like a quadruple threat. And I get judged because I have friends that are porn stars and I have people with it that are like more conservative friends who definitely judge me. I see in my comments all the time, like, how dare you even talk to these people? And I'm like, look, I always have felt like girls in the adult industry or guys and comedians we are similar in the fact that like society sometimes sees us as like, like once you kind of dabble in comedy or the adult industry, like you're kind of an untouchable or you can't ever go back to regular polite society. There's a stigma, and I don't like it when groups of people are stigmatized. And I think you have a really cool, interesting story. So I just want to hear a little bit about kind of like your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I feel like my journey is so long because I'm so old.
You don't look it.
But, but so how I got to where I am after being married for 11 years, we were together for 15. I decided I was tired of wearing a mask. I had been in the ministry in college. Yes, I was a stripper. And so I had been through that, been through the ministry, married, had kids. And I just felt like during my marriage, when times got hard, I still had to preach and teach and sing, dance, and just be on. And I felt like I was tired of lying. So I said I was going to remove the mask, live open, honest, and emotionally exposed, which is how I came up with Naked and Naked Girls. Me and my friends got together and I wanted to do a blog. And I just wanted us to talk about real things so that any other woman who was going through what I had been through or that any of us had gone through could have a place where she could come and see people were being honest and being real, and there was no judgment. So I started Naked Girls, and from there, people used to always ask me questions, and so I decided to put it in a book because I would always say keep it naked instead of keep it real, because I feel like when you're naked, you can't hide anything. Like we can see that your titties sag, your butt don't sit where it used to. So
And
we
that's
say
okay. Yeah, let's not all pretend like we're we're working with the same parts we had at 20.
right.
And that's good because it's like you've lived a life, you've learned, you've grown.
Yes. So I put it in a book, Keep It Naked, which is an aggressive self-help book. And I ended up getting kicked off Facebook for saying Father's Day was for men. So I started
Wow. When
putting
was this?
in 2018 is when they kicked me off for good. 2017, after the video had like 2 or 3 million views, they pulled the video down and banned me for 30 days. Well, in 2018, I went back and put the same video up, which I was always still getting in trouble for different little things and having little 30-day stints in Facebook jail. But I guess in 2018, they said, this is it. We just can't deal with her anymore. And so they took me down or took me off of Facebook. And my friend said, start putting your videos on Twitter. So that's what I did. And I noticed that conservatives start to flock to me. And I was thinking, I'm just putting up common sense videos. I never really thought about them being political. But Brandon from the WalkAway campaign found me, and I just kind of been at it ever since. Just I'm always talking junk, been talking junk online since about 2013. And here I am.
That's amazing. Just for saying Father's Day is for men, you get kicked off Facebook. That's fucking insane. That's like that is common sense. And I was wondering, like, do you see yourself in the box of like being a conservative, or do you just feel like I'm just being me and this is who finds me? And is it almost like, wow, I'm not even saying anything groundbreaking.
Right.
Um,
To
yeah.
me, it's just common sense. So yeah, I do feel like I line up more with conservative values just naturally the way I was raised, although I always voted Democrat. But yeah, I feel like I was just saying things that made sense. Like fathers are important, men are important. You can't Men can't get pregnant. You can only be a man or a woman. Like I thought I was just saying common sense stuff, but apparently it's not really common sense. It's not common.
No, it's not, and it's cool that, Brandon Straka from WalkAway sort of found you, because he's been really amazing. Like, I had him on the podcast a while ago, like, before all his sort of, like, legal drama, and
Right.
I was supposed to have him on again the day that he was arrested,
Oh
and,
wow.
it was crazy, and I've just been following along, like, keeping up with his emails. And he's just an example of someone who's so targeted because like he is a gay man who is not following the script and he's not
Hmm.
doing what society expects him to do and vote and be outspoken about. Did you feel a kind of like a bond with him in that way? Because you too are someone who is not doing or acting, voting, like making videos about what society expects you to be, and your values are not lining up there.
Right. I do think that's what we had in common with him being a gay man and, of course, me being Black. You know, we are expected to vote Democrat and just go along with the whole victim mentality. So I think that is what we kind of found in common with each other. And then we're both outspoken. We both, just don't take any crap. And so we did find common ground with that. And Brandon is just an awesome person. And he was like, he passed me the mic because he was really being on everything. People were wanting to talk to him because of his story. And once he found me, he was like, "Hey, I got another friend I want you to listen to." So yeah.
Would you go to like rallies and speak there, or was it more like he helped you with connections, like with media and like podcasting?
No, I did rallies. I actually did the majority of his Rescue America rallies last year.
Wow.
We were all across the country, almost every weekend, somewhere different. And I did almost all of them with him. I missed maybe two, I think, one because it was my daughter's birthday. But I was with him. I've been with him since 2018. So
Wow.
mostly if he does any type of walkaway rally or event, I'm there.
It's really so amazing, like, what that whole group and movement has done, because it's like there's so many people who feel, like, politically homeless, who it's just there's this pressure to be like, are you with us? Or are you against us? Are you on this team? Or are you on that team?" And I think most people are confused and in the middle and are just trying to get themselves and their families, like, just through it all. So,
Right.
but of course, like, they're gonna come after him really hard, because anybody who threatens the status quo is gonna be a target. And I wanna play this clip of you, talking about Kamala Harris. It was the first thing I saw, and I was like, I laughed so hard because your delivery, it's like you could do comedy, Shemeka. Like, I don't know, you have this, like, perfect dry delivery, and you're talking about Kamala Harris. This was on, I guess this was Fox News. Wow, just this was not that long ago. This was just right before Christmas.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna play it, and then then we're gonna talk about it. Okay, here we go.
As a woman, especially a Black woman, it's really hard for me to say anything negative about Kamala Harris, considering she fought hand and knee to get where she is, and sex work is work. However, I don't think anyone believes this rhetoric. The only people falling for this are those that mailed in 2 ballots. I just think it's funny that they want us to like someone who is just truly unlikable. A woman, especially a Black.
Oh my god, I really applaud you for this, because like I've never done like a Fox News. I've done like interviews for like maybe conservative radio, but the fact that you held it together, you didn't fumble or bumble your words, and like you said something that was like pretty concise and also funny, and it makes people think. Like, did you and you have such a short amount of time. Like, I imagine they're just saying like you have sometimes like a couple of minutes, really. How did you plan this out? Like, were you trying to be funny, or you're just like, I want to make people think and be like, huh? What did you just say?
No, I never try to be funny, which is crazy because people will say, "Oh, you're so funny. You should be a comedian." And I'm like, "No, I shouldn't." I think I can just be really blunt and to the point. And so maybe sometimes, as mean as I am, it's funny. So,
Because you're just
uh,
being honest. Yeah.
yeah. And I was telling my kids, Dad, like, I didn't even think about the hand and knee thing. I was really thinking, like, what is that? You work hard, like in the moment, I'm just talking.
Oh my
And I
god.
actually got reprimanded after that. You don't see it in that
Oh,
clip.
no. What happened after you said did you it's because it's like it sounds like an age-old sort of saying. It sounds like, "Oh, you're working hard," almost like, like it's grueling work, and then it was like this turn of phrase, and you didn't mean to say it, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah. So Brian goes, "Oh," he says, "Shemeka, we can't promote that or something he said. I can't even remember what he said afterwards. And I don't know if it was the Kamala Harris bit or the part about mailing in 2 ballots. I don't know. But it's just me talking. Like, you asked me a question, you asked how I felt about them saying that Kamala was the most powerful VP since Nixon. And that was my answer. You know,
Yeah.
I never really think about what it is I'm going to say. That's why I say I'm just naked. I'm just honest. And I never claim to be right, but I always claim to be honest. Like, you'll always hear my true thoughts. So if you don't want to know, don't ask.
And that's what people are really interested in. I say this all the time. There's too much fakeness in our society. Like, our journalists are fake, our politicians are fake. We feel like everyone's lying to us. And then when you get somebody who's not polished, who's just honest and just like speaks off from their heart, and maybe it is funny or maybe it is too blunt or a little too real, like, people love that. I think that's why people love you, because it's so refreshing to hear just honesty. And
And it's easy. It's
yeah.
easier to just be who you are, in my opinion. And I don't have to think so hard about what I have to say. Most of the time, it's going to be politically incorrect because that's just who I am. But I don't want to have to think too hard. And I don't want to have to say, is this going to go over well? How will they feel about this? I never really think about how it's going to land on people. Maybe I should a little bit more, but I normally don't. And it's just easier for me.
Yeah, I liked this tweet that you shared about our new governor here in New York, Kathy Hochul or Hochul. I don't know. I feel like she's a zombie. Like, I don't know. And I like your take. This is what we would call based. Most modern women in positions of leadership have only served to make America weaker. And here is Kathy Hochul talking about why we need to mask up our kids.
And we do hope that everyone really comes around and realizes this is a simple, very minor intrusion, if you will. It's that, even that, all the children in the state have been wearing masks since the beginning. It's not that big a deal. It'll help save lives, keep them healthy. And that's all we're asking for. So there has been some pushback, but we're not backing down from this. We think it's important. And we do hope.
I hate her so much. She's even more bucktooth and goofy than I had previously noticed on her. And God, it's sad because we were so happy to have the horny Italian out, but now I want him back. I want, like, when I listen to Hochul speak, I'm like, where's Cuomo? And she just makes it sound like, oh, it's not that big a deal. You know, when it comes to tyranny and authoritarianism, you know, we've been doing this for a while now. You guys should be used to it by now. And it's all bullshit. It's all lies. We all, like, anyone who's been paying even a little bit of attention knows there's no connection between masks and spreading. It's like the vaccine is not guaranteed. You know what I mean? We all know.
Right.
I'm gonna say all the things that get me demonetized, but
right.
and it's just, she is a good example, and I like that you talk about this and tweet about this, like, toxic femininity. And she is such a good example. And I think of Pelosi too, like, these women, I don't know if it's like a boomer lady thing, but and I even love, I don't know if it was on, I think it was when you were doing an interview with Hotep Jesus, and you were like, I go back and forth on, like, I'm misquoting you, but you're like, I go back and forth on whether or not women should really vote. And I was laughing and clapping because, like, I said shit like that myself. I'm like, yeah, like, we have enough to worry about as it is. I feel like women are too overwhelmed, and a lot of women are confused about, like, their purpose, their natural desires, and what society us to do. And then we have examples like Hochul and Pelosi, and it's like, oh, I really feel for women, and because I feel like there's and I was, you know, raised very much brainwashed. Like, as a women's studies minor, I graduated college like a full-on feminist, hating men, everything, like, to a T. I was that stereotype. I was like, oh, I never want to have kids. And I would look at the women who, like, had hooked up with, like, you know, found boyfriends and graduated college, married, had kids. I would look down on them. I'd be like, ugh, that's the best they can do is reproduce. Like, why are we here in college getting degrees if we're just gonna, you know, mate? So I just feel like feminism is such and I agree with you. The first wave was good.
Mm-hmm.
but largely it's been a huge trick on women, and I feel like there's so much confusion, and it's like it's easier for me to notice like white women, obviously, because like that's what I am, and
Right.
I see myself in a lot of like younger women, and I'm wondering what observations you make, kind of like how has sort of feminism poisoned like really like Black women or like culture that you see around you.
Well, you have so many Black women that feel like they don't need a man. And they go from I don't need a man to I am the man. And so, what I've kind of seen in Black culture is that we have a lot of women who are not married, who are not with the they don't need a man, but somehow they need him to have all these children that they keep having. So we have a lot of children that are born out of wedlock, and it's torn the Black family apart, which of course has really just decimated the Black community. So I don't agree with feminism at all, and this is where I kind of get in trouble sometimes because I feel like all of these women leaders have really just served to make America bitch. Like, just really, you want these type of women want men who are incompetent because it makes them seem more competent. So they just want to be in charge. The only type of men they like are like beta males, the men that are gonna worship them and just do whatever they say. These are the men that'll, bring them their coffee and just sit there with these noodle arms, no muscles, no type of grit, no, and it just bothers me. And this is what I see. This is why you see so many women that consider themselves strong. Like, I don't like when people say, oh, you're a strong Black woman. No, I'm resilient. I can take a licking and keep on ticking, but I'm not strong. Because when you think of somebody that is strong, you don't think they need any type of help. You don't think they need any type of assistance. So therefore, you won't really come to their rescue. I need you to come to my rescue. I am a damsel in distress every single day. I can't open a jar. I prefer not to change my tires. Something happens, like I'm a damsel in distress. So what I can see that has happened in the Black community is just our families are torn apart. And because of that, you see so many so I haven't watched your show a lot, so I try to be careful with what I say.
Oh, let's say whatever you want. Also,
Okay.
I don't even watch my own show, so I can't stand the sound of my own voice. I'm just like, ugh, why are you still doing this?
That's me too. That is me too. But you see so many asshole kids out here just really tearing the place up because families have lost structure and kids have lost structure. And a lot of that is because of feminism, and it has affected women and men. Not only do women not know how to be women, men don't know how to be men because you're told so much that you aren't needed or you aren't wanted that you just start to throw up your hands and say, well, forget it. It's easier to be a bitch than to stand up and be a real man, because when you are a real man, you're told that you're toxic, or you're constantly belittled.
Or you're
And
mansplaining. Anytime you
yeah,
explain something, you're mansplaining. And it's like,
right,
okay, I guess I'll just shut up and jump off a bridge. Like, I feel like
right.
that's the message men get.
Yes. And so what you see a lot of young Black men who would just rather be women or be feminine, because for what? Their mothers have beat them down most of their life. And now it's like, I couldn't question mom, and now I can't question all these other butch women out here running the show.
It's really hard. It's hard for men and it's hard for women, and it's like, and I was raised in a way, and I love what you said. I think this is in the Hotep Jesus interview, that like a lot of women don't learn how to treat men, and that really resonated with me because I grew up like my parents they stayed married, up until my mom passed like 3 years ago. Like they didn't have a great relationship, and my mom and dad never gassed each other up. They never uplifted each other. Like my mom definitely did not go out of her way to make my dad feel manly in those important, like affirming ways that a man needs. Like men need to feel helpful. They need to feel useful. They need to feel like they make a difference. They need to feel appreciated. And like women too also need to be appreciated, but also like complimented, right? Flowers, like never feel like you're losing your spark. Oh, and it goes both ways, still making the other feel like attractive and special and all that stuff. But like I was, raised in a relationship where that wasn't happening. There was so much resentment. They were constantly cutting each other down. They were so passive aggressive. In one way, it was good. It helped me like that's how I learned. I think that's how my sense of humor grew. But I, grew to be an adult with no idea how to treat a man, or like, not that you have to be a different version of yourself, not that you have to be like a pick me or a pretend anything. Like you don't have to be something you're not just to like win over a man. It's like there's so much confusion. Like there's not just one way to be a strong woman, and the messages we get is to be this like boss bitch, not needing anybody, take care of all your bills, never need a man. It's like that's not the only way to be strong. Some women that's their thing, they excel that way. They're going to end up with a beta man. Good for them.
Exactly.
But there is this feeling like that's the message that we are all getting, that if you're not that, you're somehow weak, and we should be teaching girls like, no, be the best you, and learn how to be the best partner and the best complement, and know what you're looking like, know what kind of traits you're looking for in a man, like that best complement you, what your strengths are. Because some women are better organized, some men are better organized, some guys do the laundry, some women do the laundry. And it's like, I feel like, because I know that I wasted many years stuck in this like kind of feminism brainwashing system,
Right.
and it took me a while to like bust out of that. And I'm just like, yeah, where are women gonna learn that? And how to treat a man. It wasn't until I really kind of started getting into like self-help books. And what another thing that I love that you brought up, because I've never heard anybody and like any podcast or shows bring this up. So you're talking to Dan Bongino, and you brought up Abraham Hicks, and who is like, most of you listening have probably no clue who that is, but she's like a channeler. She's I'm gonna explain this and you guys are gonna think I'm full of shit, but it's like, it's related to The Secret. It has to do with manifesting. It has to do with like speaking what you want into existence, which is so powerful. And I feel like that is something that the powers that be really want to downplay the importance of, that we can truly manifest the lives we want. And whether it's a vision board or like telling yourself like good messages every day or whatever it is, like, and I feel like there's so much manipulation going on, because you use the example of like CRT in classrooms. Like imagine you're a slave, imagine you're a slave owner. Like they're trying to instill, kind of through this manifesting theory, like keep this myth of white supremacy, this myth of racism going. I mean, there's only good and evil, and there's big business in racism, and once you start seeing it, you're like, oh wow, they're planting seeds for this to keep going.
Right.
And I love that you brought up Abraham Hicks, but because that stuff is just so powerful. And I think the powers that be are really trying to keep people from tapping into their power, basically.
For sure. And even, with Christians, because a lot of Christians would be like, oh, I'm not going to listen to Abraham Hicks, or that's evil or whatever. Even in the Bible tells you to speak those things that are not as though they were. So if you want something to take place, you have to ask, believe, and receive. So it's like it's all throughout the Bible, right, as well, that you can kind of manifest or ask for what it is that you want and believe that it's going to happen, and it'll happen. The Bible actually talks about how without faith it's impossible to please God. So you have to have faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You don't see it yet, but you have to walk by faith and not by sight. So that's for all the Christians that would say, no to Abraham Hicks or Neville Goddard. It's right there in the Bible that this is, you have to be careful what you say, because you don't want to curse yourself by saying all types of negativity. And the way that they're actually playing this CRT and speaking all this racism and all this negativity is getting us to just constantly repeat things that we don't even want to live. Faith cometh by hearing. So if you're constantly hearing negativity, you're going to believe negativity. But if you start speaking more positive things and believing more positive things, we can have more positive outcomes. And so to me, it's all wrapped up in one. You know, some people don't do the Bible. They may do Abraham Hicks. Some people will do Abraham, you know, and they're not going to do the Bible. So, but it's all in there. Just got to find it.
And I think if you're somebody that's like turned off for whatever reason about religion, like I found like as I've gotten older, I was raised Methodist, confirmed, went to a college that was actually like Jesuit. So I would go to mass occasionally, sure. But like I find like just the last couple of years, like maybe as more shit has been going down, I want to like deepen my relationship with God, and I'm like more curious about the Bible, and I'm like, I don't know, it's like it seems cool to me. Like I used to think of it as like, that's what my grandma's into. She's got 100 Bibles. She's always trying to slip a New Testament into my purse. She's crusty. And now I'm just like, oh, I had a friend, Elijah Schaefer was like, Proverbs is basically a self-help book. And I was like, what? It's been here this whole time. I've just been dismissing it as crusty. So
it's good. And
yeah.
it's like a soap opera. It has so many good scandalous stories in there too that you can learn from. So there really is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. And it's just like that's the fighting, the confusion, the messaging, the propaganda that we get, maybe the not so good examples we get from our parents. It's like fighting through that to find your true purpose, your true skills, your true like path and calling, and like getting young women to adulthood to a place where like it is okay to need a man, and with men it is okay to need a woman. Like we can complement each other so beautifully and have each other's backs, and there's nothing. I think when you fight that, that's when you get there. That's when you get guys who are like, like very misogynist, and then you talk to them for 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, who hurt you, baby? Like there's something when you can tell somebody's living their life at arm's distance from everybody, and it's like, what? No intimacy, no connection. Like that means I'm gonna get hurt. And when you live your life like that, like when men do, it's like in the form of being like an incel, and when women do that, live their life at arm's length, it's like in this form of like, I'm a bad bitch, I don't need anybody, and that's actually a block. Like I think you're blocking yourself from like blessings and flow, when you're letting your pain kind of be your buffer and like speak for you. It's when you're constantly working on like stay vulnerable, and things can flow to you.
Right.
Like
Because
what's meant
otherwise
for
you're
you.
miserable and bitter. And you got to become better, not bitter.
Totally. Yeah, better not bitter. Build back bitter. No.
That's what we're doing just about, right?
And what's cool about you is like you were like pretty young when you knew that you wanted to be a wife, which is like pretty amazing. I feel like we're about the same age, and it's like, kind of growing up at the same time. And it's like where I was like, over my dead body, I'll be a wife. And you're like, no, this is great. This is who I want to be.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. And it would be so funny because I was in college and my major was biology, and people would say, so, what do you want to do? Well, my major is biology, but I really want to be a wife. Like my next door neighbor growing up, she was a wife. And that's what I saw. We had a lot of, also, I'm a product of rape. My mother was raped at 14. I was born to her at 15. So I didn't have a dad, obviously. It was a stranger. She didn't know who it was. But we had a lot of couples on the street that I grew up on. And so I would watch these women be wives, and I would watch the men be men. I saw men grabbing their shotgun and going out to hunt. I had a neighbor who...
Where did you grow up?
In Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And so one of my neighbors, her husband would go out and catch squirrels, and I would watch her skin the squirrels and cook them for dinner.
Oh my God.
That's disgusting.
Squirrel
And
meatballs.
and then my neighbor, she made homemade biscuits for her husband every single day. Like from the time, like my whole life. He just died maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. But every single day she made homemade biscuits for him. And so I'm like, this is the life that I want to live.
How
I
are you
just
not gonna be happy to come home to that? Like, if I had somebody that was like, "I'm gonna make you biscuits every day," I'd be like, "Deal. What do I have
right.
to do to lock this down?" Yeah.
Biscuits and beans every
Mhm.
day. And she just seemed so happy. Like he told her, you don't have to work. I can take care of the family. And that's what he did. And he always provided for them. And it just seemed to work. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to do that. But in my age group, once I did get married and once I was home, I faced a lot of the women that felt like you don't need a man. Although most of them were married, they were like the breadwinners. They were the ones making most of the money. And I wouldn't let him tell me, what I could do or what I couldn't do. And girl, I couldn't do this if I was you. And I would not have to ask for money. And I got a lot of negative feedback, so much so that I started to really question, like, well, gosh, am I wrong? Am I, should I be a little bit more independent? Should I have my own money? Should I not have to ask him for certain things? And I really started to then be a wife that just felt like I was trapped. Although I was
Wow.
really blessed, I felt trapped and like I'm supposed to have my own. Although I'm not the type of person that's going to work 10 or 12 hours a day. That's not me. I'm not built that way. I would rather you bring home the bacon and I cook it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's good to know that about yourself, and, yeah, it is tricky because it's, like, especially somebody who is like, maybe they are in an abusive situation, well, it's like, then you do wanna make your own money so that you don't feel like this is a thing tying you down to a bad situation, and it's like it's just yeah, I think it's, like, it's good to be just, like, easy on yourself, like, and then there's part of me that, "Wow, wouldn't it be nice to, like, if I had met a really rich guy to take care of me?" And I find myself, like, when I see, like, you know, maybe girls I used to go to school with and I see they, like, settled down with a really rich guy, there's part of me that starts to get, like, pissed, like, "Oh, why didn't I?" Like, because I hear my mom's voice, like, "It's just as easy to fall in love with a rich guy." It's like, "Well, they weren't lining up to talk to me." But, like, I feel lucky that my boyfriend has helped me, like, grow my business, and we make money together, and he also, like, uplifts me and, like, I could get real sappy, but,
which is okay,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's like we all get hurt, it's just like, how do we keep ourselves from kind of getting, like, stiff and bitter about it, especially when it's, like, our music, our culture, there's so much coming at us, that the the forces that are trying to keep us separate and alone, and we're so much more powerful together, working together, and I just really think they're trying to make it not cool to have a family. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
messages that are out there. It's like,
Hmm.
"Oh," and, yeah, I don't know. I never felt like, oh, man, like, I don't know where the messaging comes from, like, I know some women that, like, yeah, they did just have kids willy-nilly with somebody, and, like, for me, I was so afraid of that because I thought, like, "Oh, once you have a kid with somebody, like, then they really got you." So I was, like,
Yeah.
paranoid and very, like, birth control, pull out, get away." Um, so I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like, how do we try to instill within women, or how can culture instill within women, like, positive femininity? Because if you're not the type that's like, "Yeah, I need to be a CEO," like, if you're trying to live that life, you're gonna be unhappy, but it's just think maybe just showing women that there's another way. I don't know, it seems just like a big issue to tackle because it's multifaceted.
Yeah, I think those of us that believe it's okay to be feminine and it's okay to love a man and have a man just have to start speaking up more and speaking louder, because for so long, the loud women have been the ones that are feminist and that are against men. And they are the ones that have been given the platform and the mic to kind of speak all types of foolishness against families. So I think for those of us that disagree, it's so easy to just be quiet and say, well, as long as I'm happy, I don't care. But I think just from me being in the situation where I felt like I didn't have people that agreed with me or people that supported me in wanting to be a wife and wanting to be a mother and take care of my family, I think it's very important for women to speak up and speak out about it so that those that are in those positions can know it's okay. Because if you feel like it's not okay, it becomes a little bit like shame. You feel less than. And being a mom and a wife, that's a hard job. Even if that's all you do, that's a lot. And it's hard and it's very, very important. When you see what's happening to kids now, what's being taught in schools, if you are a full-time mom, your job is so important right now. And so it's sad that people kind of belittle women that desire to be moms and wives as if that's not a big important job. It is. And so I think people have to start speaking out and speaking up about it. Like, it's okay to need a man and want a
Yeah.
man and love a man. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, it's like, how else are you gonna get the air conditioner in the window, Like,
Okay.
that's when I realized maybe I have
Who
to
else is gonna open the jar of pickles? I can't do it.
Yeah. Who was gonna put this IKEA bed together? Because
Right.
it is not gonna be me. What do you say to people, or do you hear this a lot that, caring about what's being taught in your child's school is like a white value? Do you feel like that is something, like, that's a manipulation tactic? Like, do you feel um, folks will tell, like, an idea that in whatever X value, that's a white thing. Do you think that's a manipulation tactic they'll use on Black people to get you to like, "Oh, okay, I guess I stepped out of my place.
Mhm.
I'm not following the script."
Yeah, it's definitely a manipulation tactic, and Black people should really be insulted that they're telling you to care about your child's education is white. That should be an insult, and every Black person should say, wait a minute, just because I'm Black, does that mean I don't care what my child is learning? Just because I'm Black, does that mean I don't think my child can achieve the best or be the best or learn? That should be an insult. Yet for so many Black people, it's not an insult. And you're like, yeah, they just don't want us to learn Black history. No, that's not it. They don't want us to learn foolishness, and you shouldn't want your child to learn foolishness either. I think it's an insult when I see them saying things like they're going to get rid of gifted programs because they're full of Asians or full of whites and there are not enough Black people in there. Well, whose fault is that? Because Black people are not animals. We're not stupid. And even if we were animals, if you can train a dog, why can't your Black child learn? That's the way that I feel. So when somebody acts to me as if a Black person or a Black child can't learn, I'm going to always push back on that, because when you take your dog to a trainer and say, I want this dog to be able to sit, roll over, and fetch, you expect to go back and pick that dog up, and that dog can sit, roll over, and fetch. So there's no way you should be dropping your Black child off at school every day, and then they tell you, oh, your child can't learn because your child is Black. That is BS.
It's
Your child should be
crazy.
able to learn, yes, just as a white person, just as an Asian. And if not, you need to then do something different as a parent to make sure that child is learning, because skin color doesn't keep you from learning at all. So Black people should be offended by that message that that's just, something white people are doing.
That you shouldn't care. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
my
crazy.
sister's a teacher, and she would tell me, like, just kids in general, the ones that didn't do as well were the ones whose parents were not, like, actively involved, and where
Hmm.
she felt like, when teachers have to, like, pick up the slack of raising your kids, that's when it feels like a lot of work. And now I feel like, I mean, my sister's a good teacher, but there's obviously TikTok has proved that there are many horrible teachers who take advantage of their power and use their classroom as a place like, I need to come out to my kids, I need to videotape it. It's like, get over yourself, like you're not that fucking important
at all.
and
Especially not in my child's life.
and when you create space, like, I feel like, and I'm not like trying to sound like I'm not a parent yet, so I don't maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but like when you leave space in your parenting, like, and you have a certain type of teacher or adult in that child's life that kind of wants a little bit of power and influence, it's like, well, they're going to fill in that gap. That gap is going to be filled in by somebody. So
yep. That's so true. And you have to, so one of the things my kid's dad told me is that you're going to be the first example of what a woman is, because we had 3 girls. And I've always taken that very seriously, you know. So no, my children are not going to look to Kamala Harris, you know, as their first example as to what a woman is. No, I'm the first example. Now they can have other people that they look up to or aspire to be like or feel inspired by, but I'm that first example. And so I have left no room for any other person to come in and have their views outweigh mine. And I think every parent should be that way. You know, for the men, you're the first example of what a man should be. Don't leave room for any other man to come in and their opinion outweighs yours. And that's the way I am with my daughters. So when teachers try to tell them anything, they come and they run it by me, or it something goes off immediately. Like, no, this isn't what my mother has taught. You're wrong. So
yeah.
you have to actually make sure you're filling in all those spaces, because if not, someone else will. And it may be with something you don't want your child to believe or learn.
Yeah, and just from when I watch, like, my boyfriend has a 10-year-old son, and they're always talking. So it's like if somebody's quiet or there's not a constant conversation, it's like that's the first sign, like, okay, you have to push and you have to get in there, because if you're not always talking, like my dad and I like never talked. Like his whatever love languages, he would like drive me to practice, he'd fix my car, but it was never like, what's on your heart, you know, like
Right.
let's chat. And like he had a temper, he drank, and this thing that I had to kind of overcome was like, yeah, this like kind of fear of men and like sort of male authority figures. Like I definitely, but that's the job of being an adult. You kind of figure out your own shit and try to be better. I love that you said this idea, and we see this in like memes and all over the internet and stuff, like, oh, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Like there's so many versions of this like all over, and it's almost like it's become like cute and popular or like socially acceptable for like a woman, because we're emotional, like it's okay to be a hot mess, and that like
Right. To be
a man
difficult.
just has to deal with it. And like I try to only be a pain in the ass like one or 2 days out of the month for a very specific reason.
Right.
But I love that you and I agree with you on this, like that you need to handle yourself. And how does, all right, well, so we're women, we're talking about women here. So like how does a woman begin? Like let's say a woman's listening right now and she's a hot mess. Well, that's the thing, is you might not even know it, but if you find yourself saying things like, you need to handle my shit, you know, like, oh, sorry, this is just me, you know, how do you begin to take responsibility and handle yourself? And why is that important, you know, to do that before you know, put that on your, you know, your partner?
I think it's important because your partner is your partner, right? He's not an animal trainer. And so he doesn't need to have to handle you like you're some type of animal. He is there to love you. And you need to have enough respect for him, because you're supposed to respect him, to handle yourself and just not want to be that type of emotional burden on someone. Like, you know, no one should have so much control over you that you can't control your emotions. Like, you want to be a boss, be the boss over your own emotions. When you realize that I'm acting a little nutty here, be able to say, this is one of the things that I do. And I'll ask myself, why am I angry?
Yeah,
and
what is this
then
about right now? Yeah.
yeah. And so then that way I can kind of figure out, why am I feeling very emotional or over emotional? This is why I'm angry. What would make me feel better? Like, what could take place to make me feel better about this situation? So I think women just got to stop. You want to be in control of something, be in control of your emotions, because sometimes we let them uh, just go haywire. And I think we've had, like you said, it's becomes socially acceptable to just be difficult. And that's not okay. Most men don't want to deal with a difficult woman. So we need to stop thinking that it's cute. Stop thinking that it's okay to be crazy or to be deranged. Take some time to kind of pull yourself in. Like, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to be deranged, because she that brings the most peace gets the most time.
Yeah, and, like, that's cute when you're in your 20s because men are like, "Oh, she must be great in bed. It feels like she's
Right.
always about to key my car." But then when you, like, hit your 30s or, like,
Right.
it's tiring and you wanna be like, "I'm looking for a rock here, not somebody who's, I have to worry that they're crumbling,
Yeah. And if he's
over a bad
out,
day."
yeah, if he's out making money or trying to be successful in life, he doesn't have time for your foolishness. So if he's looking for a woman to build with and be successful with, it is not going to be the one that is emotionally unstable. It's not going to be her.
And it's so important, like, let's say you are, like, like, this was happening with, like, basically, like, a friend. She was like, "Oh, I have this relative, she's saying nobody in the family helps," and then you press into it. Well, really, she was upset that her baby daddy wasn't helping enough. She wasn't getting what she wanted from him, but she took those emotions and she spread it all over and made her family members who were actually helping her feel like they weren't doing enough. So it's like, and you're gonna turn people off like that. Like, you're gonna make those family members feel resentful, especially when you do have people in your life that are helping. Like, don't conflate and confuse. Keep your feelings on your feelings, and like and it's just recognizing them quicker. And that doesn't mean, we're not saying, oh, like, don't feel your feelings. Like, feel them. And it's okay to, like, you can still feel your feelings and be in control of them.
Right.
um because it's like, you're not a child, you're not, like, at the mercy of your emotions all the time. So yeah, I think it's just important to, like, know where these feelings are coming from and don't, like, put them on other people, because people are gonna get tired of you. It's gonna be exhausting, and it's like you want to
Mhm.
be a team player and not just, like, a liability, but whatever. I'm, like, preaching to the choir here. So, um, yeah, it's just so interesting. Like, I really truly didn't start to learn until I got into, like, self-help books and, like, listening to Abraham Hicks and just thinking, like, okay, let's step back from my, like, programming and training here. And
Mhm.
God, like, your friends, like, who you're surrounding yourself with is so important, because I feel like it's easy too for women to be, like, extra sponge like, because we do have the tendency to be people pleasers and kind
Right.
of sometimes, like, mimic and copy. And it's just some women are, like, very vulnerable to their, like, surroundings and can be swayed pretty easily. Like, I know that I was in my 20s. So I don't know, I feel like I just want to, like, help future women
Me too.
not waste a lot of time, and, like, I had Charisse Lane on a couple weeks ago, and, like, she was, and I know that you guys, um, are like buds, or at least according to Twitter, but, like, she's impressive to me because she's so young, and she's, like, kinda same thing. Like, yeah, I know I wanna be a wife. Like, she's like, "I'm going to the gym so that I can be a good wife."
Right.
I was like, "That's so cool." She's, like, not ashamed of what she wants, and I think that's, like, half the battle, is, like, not being ashamed of, knowing what you want, and, not worrying that your friends are gonna be like, think you're not cool, or,
Yeah.
um
And
yeah.
Sharice is so young, like, and I
Yeah.
tell her all the time, for you to know that and be confident in saying that at such a young age, you're already, on the right path. So
Yeah.
when you can decide something, she's still, of course, trying to figure life out, but she knows that she wants to be a wife, and she's proud of that, and she's working towards that.
Yeah.
So I just try to be there and be like, you got it, girl. Go, girl. I'm her cheerleader, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, work hard at your goals, and then you do kinda have to, like, "Okay, this is where I wanna get to, but, like, God, whoever you believe in, like, you're gonna get me there. It may not be a straight path. I trust in
Right.
you to, like, best serve you, best serve myself. However I get there." But, focus is so important. Let's see, did we talk about your naked girls? That's still, your blog? Like, is that still an active blog for you, or did you say that was a book? I'm sorry if I, like, am confusing
So
them.
I do have a networking site, thenakedgirls.com, and girls is with the Z for anyone that wants to go find it. Because if you put an S, I can't, be responsible for what you find. But so it's a networking site. But when I changed it from a blog to a networking site, I kind of was really busy in politics. And so I haven't really been able to market it the way that I wanted to. So I've been talking to one of the other ladies that's a part of it, and we've been trying to figure out the best way to kind of relaunch and get more women involved now that I'm not as busy and I'm not on the road every weekend. So I still have that Keep It Naked, a Naked Girl's Guide to Live Life Authentically is the name of the book that I wrote, which has been out for 5 years. But the networking site is still up. And so we're just trying to kind of relaunch that now that I'm not as busy.
Okay, alright, cool. And okay, and you're the co-host of Cut the Bull podcast. That's your podcast, or is that
I'm a co-host. Me, Charles Love, and Wilford Riley.
okay.
The three of us, we do the show. We launched it in April, and we've been doing very well. We've had some great guests. We've had Tucker Carlson,
Oh,
and
wow. That's
yeah,
cool.
yes, Tucker was hilarious. People have to go and look at that and see how I made him loosen his tie.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you said, or you just want people to
I
go
did. He was we were talking about the whole Nicki Minaj thing when she was talking about her
Oh, her
cousin's
cousin,
and
right?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was like, I really don't know anything about her. And I was like, well, what you need to know is she has a very pink vagina. And he just was taken, he was caught off guard, and he was like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta loosen my tie on that one.
How do you know?
Well, so I meant to say she has a thick vagina because she
Oh,
talks about that in her
thick.
song, but
Thick. Oh
most of
my
ours
god.
is pink anyway. So I figure, it's still the truth, at
You're
least on the
so
inside.
funny. Oh my god, you're so funny. You are an ordained minister no more? You feel like that's just is that something you currently do? I mean, I guess you could marry people still, right?
Yeah, I could. I don't really call myself an ordained minister now. Jason gets on me about that all the time because he's like, well, how is it former? I just
Mm.
know that I'm very particular about when people claim to be Christians. Like, I'm looking at the fruit. I want to see what fruit you
Mm.
bear. And so I don't claim Christianity. Though I'm very familiar with the Bible, though I believe in God, I just feel like there are too many barriers when it comes to organized religion that
Mm.
I don't want to subscribe to that. I like to connect with people regardless of what they believe. So whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or atheist or Buddhist, Abraham Hickser, whatever, I want to be able to connect with you. So I don't really put a label as far as when it comes to religion or claiming something, because I want to be able to connect with anybody. So
Okay.
that's why I don't really say I'm a ordained minister now, because there's some things that I don't do that really lines up with Christianity as I know it. Number one, I'll curse.
Oh. Oh, I do too. It's hard not to.
So I don't try not to unless somebody tells me not to. Then I'm like, okay, then I won't. But if I'm just chilling and it's just me, you may hear a curse word here and there or something dirty. Like I love to talk about sex or just
It's
kind of
fun.
catch
I'm the
people
same
off guard.
way.
Yes,
It makes people laugh, and it's sometimes they're not expecting it, and just again,
right,
it's like being real, and you catch people off guard. It's like that's your style. That was you with that Kamala clip earlier. It's
right.
just really fun, and it's I don't know. It's very refreshing, and it's fun to keep people on their toes.
Yes. So people will say, that's not how a Christian talks. And I say, well, I never said I was a Christian. I live by first Nickelodeons. First or second Nickelodeons. That's where you can find anything you want to find about me because I'm naked. That's
Oh, okay. I was like, is that a book of the Bible that I don't know, that I haven't heard of?
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
book of my Bible.
Nickelodeon, that's cute.
Yeah. So again, that's all I claim is to be naked and to be open and honest.
And
That's the only title.
if someone's feeling lost, or they're maybe, I don't know, they're stuck in a job or a relationship, and they're feeling very like separate from themselves, they feel like they've lost themselves. How does someone begin to get back on the path, of where you're at, of like sort of like living their life, the most naked self? How do you like begin that process if you're feeling so lost and like, oh, where do I start?
They can reach out to me because I'm a certified life coach, and we'll start there. But I think you have to be honest about where you are. And I think that's probably the first thing people should do, because let's say I'm broke down on Briggs Avenue, but I'm pretending and people think I'm on Austin Avenue. Well, nobody can come and help me if I'm really on Briggs, but I'm pretending to be on Austin Avenue. You have to first be honest about where you are. And I think that's one of the things that people fail at. We're so used to pretending, we're so used to lying, we're so used to acting as if everything is going well in our
Mm.
lives when, things are cracking like glass. You first have to be honest about where you are so that somebody can actually come and even rescue you there. If they're looking for you somewhere else because you're pretending to be something else or be somewhere, you're not going to get help. So that's the first thing you have to do, is give an honest location so that when somebody comes out looking for you, that tow truck needs to come and pick you up, it's coming to the right place because you've been honest about where you really are.
That's great. I really like that. Yeah. And it's like, whether it's, oh yeah, all I do is live off of credit. All I do is like, my life is so filtered. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like that ideal kind of like Instagram
Right.
life, be
Mm-hmm.
like getting real, be like, you know what? My toes look like shit. No.
Right.
I
Because
need
mine do right
I
now.
need a pedicure. Oh, I have to do a quick. Oh wow, thank you so much, Jessica, for the super chat. Holy shit. Thank you, Jessica. Damn. I love you on Friday Night Tights, Chrissy. And thank you for the great conversation as always. Stay strong, ladies. Wow, I'm so happy to whenever I get like a female listener, I feel like it's mostly dudes. I love the dudes. I love you guys, but I get very excited when I see women up in the chat. So thank you so much for that. Quick shout out to our sponsor. I don't know if you struggle with anxiety, Shemeka, like I do. Cushy Dreams offers a full lineup of premium smokable CBD in pre-rolls and in tins. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. There's different indica sativa blends like Relax, Dream, Energy, Create, Hustle, Peace. So whatever, if you want to be a little bit more up, maybe a little bit more down before bed, Cushy Dreams has you covered. They do tons of independent lab tests to ensure compliance and purity. All of these can be found on the website, cushydreams.com. That's cushy with a K, dreams.com. At the checkout, use promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping. Woo!
I have my grandmother using CBD oil or products.
I just got some CBD lube that I really like.
Oh, really?
TMI.
I'm like, wow, what does that do? Tell me.
I forget the name. I actually was like at the Exotica convention in DC, which is like an adult adult, I don't know, webcam, film star, whatever type convention. I was there doing like live streaming, and one of the girls gave me like her line of CBD lube, and I was like amazed because it didn't like smell or taste like anything, which usually like most lubes have like a weird like smell and taste to them. So I'll have to go like in the bathroom and see what it is, and then I'll message you.
Okay.
I didn't mean to end this interview on lube, but here we are.
Hey,
Shemeka,
you keeping it naked, right?
keeping it naked, right? We're still at it. Okay, where else can people find you and follow you? Anything else you want to plug?
Well, if they go to ShemekaMichelle.com, they find me there. They can find me anywhere. But I am on Fearless with Jason Whitlock 2 to 3 times a week. And they should tune in. It's a great show.
And that's on the Blaze. And I think they're also on YouTube,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check that out. Shemeka Michelle, so hilarious. I adore you. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so great to talk to you. I'm just such a fan.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, chat, for your comments and questions. Until next time, guys. Bye.